hope you're having an amazing day. And if not, that's okay too. Welcome to the 6th episode of Keep Calm and Mental Health On. I'm Aditi Ediga, your host, and I'm so excited to have you here. It means a lot. Today, we're diving into a topic that I think all of us at some point have experienced. Comparing ourselves to others. Whether it's someone's picture-perfect Instagram life, academic achievements, or just the illusion that they've got it all together, it's easy to feel like we're falling behind. The episode is titled The Comparison Trap and Why You're Never Enough, and how to break free. And I want you to know how to feel lighter, more self-aware, and equipped with the real tools to reclaim your self-worth. And just a quick note, I'm not a licensed mental health professional. I'm a high school student sharing thoughts, research, and personal experiences around mental wellness. This podcast is for informational and inspirational purposes only. If you're struggling with your mental health, please reach out to a trusted adult or a certified mental health professional. You're never alone. Let's get into it. Comparison is an invisible battle, and we don't even notice when it begins. It's subtle. A quick scroll on social media, seeing someone win an award, hearing about someone's GPA, scholarship, relationship, new job, or just the way they walk into a room. Suddenly, we start questioning our own worth. Why am I not there yet? What am I doing wrong? The thing about comparison is that it's not just noticing differences, it's attaching value to those differences. It's deciding that someone else's success means our failure, that their beauty means our lack thereof, and that their milestones invalidate our journey. But here's the truth. Comparison thrives on illusion. We can't see their full picture. We don't know the silent battles they've fought or the fears they've kept hidden. Every life has depth, layers, and imperfections that go unseen, and often the people we envy are struggling silently in ways we may never have imagined. Let's talk about the highlight reel effect. Social media, as incredible as it can be, only shows us the best 1% of someone's life. People try to display themselves, usually the most positive light they can, especially on social media. Even with so many creators starting to show more about the behind the scenes of being an influencer or creator, and starting to highlight that at the end of the day, they are just a human. There is still a lot out there to make us question ourselves. You see someone's beach vacation, not the argument they had before boarding the plane. You see their straight A's, not the nights they cried themselves to sleep or the anxiety behind those grades. You see perfect relationships in a single post, not the therapy sessions or the silent treatment that followed. We compare our fully messy and behind-the-scenes lives to someone else's filtered moment. It's truly an unfair game, and the worst part, it's rigged against us, because we know every flaw, every insecurity, every unfinished chapter in our own lives, and we're comparing it to someone else's polished cover photo. Social media is a tool, but it's also a mask, and when we forget that, we start holding ourselves to impossible standards. And at what cost? What psychological cost does comparison bring us? Well, studies show that frequent comparison is linked to increased anxiety, depression, low self-esteem, and even burnout. Our minds become this constant scoreboard, always keeping track of who's ahead, who's doing better, and who's living the life we think we should have. It's exhausting, but even more than that, it's paralyzing. Instead of focusing on our growth, we become obsessed with someone else's path. And the irony is, while we're comparing our beginning to their middle, someone else might be comparing themselves to us. Yep, the person you admire might be admiring you. Comparison keeps us in this endless cycle of never enough. But here's the truth. You are already enough. There's something deeply damaging about living in a state of perpetual measuring. It strips us of joy. It turns achievements into checkboxes and milestones into trophies to chase, rather than moments to celebrate. But where does comparison start? Comparison isn't a new social media facade. It starts young, in school, with grades, talents, popularity. We're taught to measure ourselves against others. Why can't you be more like your sister? Look at how well she dances. He's so smart. You should try harder. We internalize the idea that our worth depends on how we measure up to others, and it only grows stronger with age. But the good news, we can unlearn it. We can shift from comparison to celebration, from judgment to inspiration, but it takes intention. We must remind ourselves, growth is not a race. There is no universal timeline for success, beauty, or happiness. You are allowed to take your time. So let's talk solutions. Here are real ways to break out of the comparison trap. It can look different from individual to individual, but these are some general tips. Let's talk social media. When you're curating your feed, make sure to unfollow or mute accounts that make you feel less than. Follow creators who inspire, educate, or uplift you. And make sure to limit your scroll time by setting a time limit on apps like Instagram or TikTok. Make sure to protect your mental space. And before consuming and jumping into social media, write, draw, dance, or do something for you. Choose creation over comparison. And this is something really important. Practicing gratitude. Every day you can write down 3 things you love about yourself. Not just your achievements, but who you are. Try mantras like I'm on my own timeline or I celebrate my growth, no matter the pace, for self-affirmation. And remember the full story and that everyone is fighting battles you can't see. Everyone has insecurities, struggles, and doubts, even if they never post about it. That's why your journey is yours. Focus on your own lane. Different timelines, different paths, but it's a beautiful thing. And still make sure to celebrate others, but not at the cost of dimming yourself. Someone else's successes don't mean your failure. Their light doesn't make yours dimmer. Another thing that you can do, especially when you're dealing with this comparison trap, is to talk about it. Open up to a friend, therapist, or mentor. You're not alone, and vulnerability breaks shame. Shift your mindset from scarcity to abundance. Remember, lastly, that there's room for everyone to thrive. Someone else's glow up doesn't mean there's no spotlight left for you. And here's a little bit of a personal note. I'll be honest that I've fallen into the comparison trap too. As someone who creates content, I sometimes wonder, is this episode as good as theirs? Will people care? Am I saying anything new? And that self-doubt creeps in. But then I remind myself, this is my journey, my voice, and my style. And as long as it's authentic, it's enough. You are enough. Not because of your grades, your follower count, your resume, or your relationship status, but because of who you are, right now, in this moment. You're a work in progress, and that's more than okay. And if no one has told you this recently, your worth is not determined by how you compare to others. It is rooted in your presence, your resilience, your dreams, and your heart. Now, I just want to touch on the power of self-compassion. Often, we're our own harshest critics. We say things to ourselves we would never say to a friend. But what if instead of criticizing ourselves for not being as good, we look at how far we've come? We allow ourselves to grow at our own pace. We learn, evolve, and know that we are enough. Self-compassion is powerful. It quiets the noise of comparison and strengthens the voice of self-trust. And the more you practice it, the more natural it becomes. Think of it like watering a plant. It takes time, but eventually you bloom. Now, one of the last things I do before this episode is done is I want to give you a quick scenario. What if I told you that a friend of mine once told me how she constantly compared herself to her classmate, someone who seemed perfect, straight A's, popular, confident. One day, they ended up working together on a project, and in the process, my friend learned that this perfect classmate was struggling with depression, had imposter syndrome, and constantly felt the pressure to perform. This perfection is also something that I want to touch on in the next episode, so stay tuned. But that moment changed everything. It reminded her, and now all of us, that what we see isn't the whole story. We all carry invisible weights. The moment we stop assuming others have it easy is the moment we start embracing ourselves fully. So if you're feeling behind or not good enough, take a breath. You are not alone, and you're not defined by the highlight reels of others. Focus on your own growths, celebrate your own wins, and when you feel that comparison creeping in, ask yourself, would I trade my entire life for this little highlight reel snippet that I see of theirs? Chances are you wouldn't, and you shouldn't. Keep practicing the tips I gave you to make your own growth stronger. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode of Keep Calm and Mental Health On. This podcast can be found at Instagram at Keep Calm Mental Health Pod, and Spotify, YouTube, and iHeartRadio. If this resonated with you, share it with a friend who might need to hear it. Next episode, like I talked about, we'll talk about perfectionism, how it's a scam, and how we need to let go of the need to be flawless in order to improve our perception of our self-worth. Remember, you're not behind. You're just on your own beautiful path. Until next time, stay kind to your mind and take care. Signing off with love and leaving you lots of positivity. This is Aditi, reminding you to keep calm and mental health on.